Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Let me just start by saying I'm not Australian. My sister Jan lives in Australia, and I was staying with her for a couple weeks after I graduated from college. It was at the end of the first week, and we had visited all the zoos and botanical gardens and shit that I wanted to see, so we were sitting around her apartment drinking with some of her friends. They were pretty chummy with me, though I guess that was because I had brought more than a few bottles of booze with me in my checked bags, at my sister's request. You wouldn't believe how expensive liquor is in Australia after growing up in Missouri. Anyway, conversation eventually drifted to my folklore minor, the couple of undergrad papers I'd published in small societal journals, and my general love of weird, spooky shit. I saw this look pass between Jan's friends, and they asked me if I wanted to hear some real Aboriginal lore straight from the source. I practically pissed myself at the offer. Cut to the next day, and we were driving out to visit a farm owned by some friends of Jan's friends that lay out in the bush. The real Aussie experience. After a few hours driving through endless red clay desert, we pull up to this farm whose primary inhabitants seem to be chickens, dogs, and barefoot children. We piled out of the car and stood in the hot dust, watching as a couple of the ankle biters ran inside the nearby farmhouse. As we stood there sweating awkwardly, I heard muffled talking from inside the cottage. Suddenly, this huge Aboriginal man burst through the door with a rifle casually cradled in his arm. Jan's friend Bella rushed forward and wrapped the guy in a hug. After some pleasantries, he introduced himself as Mickey. He thrust a big calloused paw out for me to shake. I obliged, and we sat down at the kitchen table. He offered me a beer and said, "So you're the bloke with the degree in storytelling?" Well, more like story listening. But pretty much, yeah, I replied, explaining my interest in old Aboriginal lore and such, while trying not to come off as the most pretentious asshole fuck in the country. Mickey just listened and nodded with what seemed like general appreciation. After my bit, we talked around the table, and I got to know the man a bit better. It turned out that Bella's parents were good friends with Mickey, and even owned the land next to his. Mickey had half raised her. Eventually, Mickey cut to the chase and told me why Bella had brought me. He and some other Aboriginal folk were getting ready for some yearly party that involved a lot of drinking, storytelling, traditional cooking, and spirit rituals. It was strictly friends and family, but as he put it, Bella's family, and any friend of hers, is welcome. I was beside myself at the opportunity, and thanked him profusely for the privilege. Looking back, I kind of regret my enthusiasm. Fast forward to that evening at the party. It really did have the atmosphere of a party. There was a bonfire, beer, people milling around who ranged in age from 6 to a few old folks who looked to be a few years shy of 110, and the best damn barbecue I've ever tasted. It wasn't hosted at Mickey's, but rather at another farm about 50 miles southeast, where the forest, such as it was a bit thicker. As the night wore on, however, the tone changed. Despite being more than a few beers in, I noticed that families with children were leaving for home. Kids that I thought actually lived at that farm climbed into trucks with relatives and left. By the time the moon was up, there were about a dozen of us left. Me, Jan, Bella, Mickey, a few adults about Mickey's age, and 5 of the older folks. I then realized that there wasn't a single car left. I asked Bella about it, and she replied, "This isn't the right space for modern shit, you know." I did, but barely. As if following a script, we all pulled in around the bonfire as Mickey and a few others heaved a last few logs onto it. The fire blazed and crackled, casting eerie shadows across the night. I swore I felt the trees lean in, listening to the fire. To us. We were beginning, but what? I didn't know. Wish I had brought my tape recorder or a pad and paper, anything to truly and properly record what happened next. Once we had seated ourselves on the log benches that circled the fire pit, the elders began to talk. It began as a retelling of the old Aboriginal stories, the Dreamtime, only with significant departures. For those not in the know, the Dreamtime myths end with the natural spirits of the world falling into a deep, dreamless sleep, awaiting the end of the world. In this version, however, the myths didn't end there. In this version, when the spirits slept, it wasn't silent or peaceful. They dreamed on. As the stories went on, the feeling of being listened to, of being watched, grew stronger. The tree line loomed like the walls of a dome, curving away behind me. I heard a soft rustling in the brush to my right, and as I turned to look, I caught an elbow in the chest from my left. It was Mickey. He stared at me, his eyes burning a hole in my forehead. "Just keep your eyes forward, mate. You're not the only ones come to listen to the stories." I wanted to ask what he meant, but the look he gave me silenced any questions I had. It was then that one of the women came around handing small bowls to everyone seated around the fire. I looked in mine to find a small mound of dark, shredded something. I looked at Mickey to see him cramming a knuckleful into his cheek. He said, "You've had chew, right?" I had. "Just chew it, spit in the bucket when it comes round, and don't swallow." He saw my look and laughed. "Ha! It's not drugs, mate, though it'll make you sick if you swallow. We just need to collect the juice for this next part." I looked back down at the bowl and packed a lip of the stuff. If you've had long-cut dip, it was a lot like that, only moister, more stringy, without the usual burn. The taste was almost floral, with an earthy musk that wasn't unpleasant but hard to describe. When the bucket came around, I spit, pouring a stream of evil-looking brown liquid into it. I passed it to Mickey, who did the same. Looking across the fire, I saw Jan and Bella with full cheeks and a dribble of dark juice running down their chins. The rustling in the trees continued not 10 feet behind me. There was a sound, almost like something scraping at the dirt. I did what Mickey told me and kept my eyes forward. Even at night, the heat was oppressive. Not just from the fire, the air was thick with it. The breeze was non-existent. After spitting into the bucket a dozen more times, the floral taste faded, leaving behind the musk. The heat and the taste were getting unbearable. It felt like something was beginning to rot in my mouth, drying out my throat like a corpse left in the sun. I desperately wanted something to drink, and it was all I could do to keep from swallowing. I looked over at Mickey to see him screw his face into a knot and scoop the stuff from his lip onto the ground. I followed suit. One of the elders held the bucket of greenish-black spit. The woman who handed out the bowls was at her elbow, and together they threw its contents onto the fire. It arced and spread like a glittering black web before crashing into the flames like a fist. The fire sputtered and hissed, and I swear I heard the stuff scream. Suddenly, the rustling and scratching in the woods around us exploded into a frenzy of sound. Something huge and unseen was tearing back and forth through the trees. Wind tore through the branches, yet the night remained as still and oppressive as always. The younger woman was sitting back at her log, staring at the bonfire, or at the ground, straining not to look beyond the firelight. The old woman remained standing, staring off into the night, and reciting the rest of the strange Dreamtime story. Her voice had a rhythmic quality, more song than speech, and the sounds in the trees seemed to rise and fall with it. I felt something at the nape of my neck, like a hot breeze or hot breath. Something was right behind me. I could feel its eyes boring into the back of my skull, hear it breathing. I gripped my log seat for dear life, fighting the urge to look, to scream, to run. In the distance, beyond the firelight, I thought I could see shapes moving, eyeshine glinting from beneath the bushes to just below the treetops. The old woman's voice rose in volume, and I could feel that the story was about to end. As she continued, a sense of anticipation came from the thing behind me, as if it was waiting for a mistake, something that would break the circle we had made. Warm liquid fell on the back of my neck, and I felt myself prepare to get up and run, nearly did, when it stopped. Like turning off a light, the sounds vanished. The group seemed to let out a collective sigh. The feeling of something behind me, waiting to snap out and grab me by the throat, was gone. Like it was never there. I reached back and felt my neck. Dry. I looked to my right. I looked at Mickey. I looked behind me. The sun was just beginning to peek over the horizon. Just as I was about to relax, however, I looked down. All around the fire circle, clearly visible in the dawn light, were tracks. Some looked like animal tracks, others almost human. Others still were rows upon rows of little dots that wove random patterns in the dust. All the tracks stopped just a few feet from where we sat. All of them, except for those behind me. Down in the dirt was an imprint of something huge, only inches from the bench. Little beads of dirt marked where something wet had dribbled and coagulated into the dust. Something red. A few of the others set about with brooms, clearing the tracks and marks. I saw Mickey talking with the elders and caught a couple sidelong glances from them when they thought I wasn't looking. Needless to say, I was relieved when I saw the dust plumes from the cars returning. I stayed in Australia for a few days after that and returned home at the end of the week. I never discussed those events with anyone, not Jan, not even my old folklore professor who would have died to take part in what I had. No matter what I would have told him about the lasting effects. Every now and again when I'm drifting off to sleep, I can still hear that old crone chanting the stories of Dreamtime. Sometimes the chanting grows faint and I hear something else. It sounds like breathing. It sounds familiar.
Me 2010-15, staying with an old friend, also 15. His parents are out at some awards ceremony. It's 10 p.m. Anyway, we're downstairs playing FIFA in his room. His room is right at the front of the house, next to the front door. We can see the street lights outside through his shitty blinds. A man's walking down the street. He's wearing a black tracksuit and holding a baseball bat. Yo, Anon, look at this. We both pause the game to stare out the window, talking about how weird he is. He walks off down the street. Go back to playing games for rest of the night. About 2 a.m. Can't sleep because in shitty sleeping bag, friend's parents are home. Friend is fast asleep. Staring at the ceiling when I hear the sound of crunching leaves outside. Hear a muffled cough outside. Why is there someone outside? JPG. Yo, man, wake up. Shake my friend awake. What the fuck do you want? There's someone outside. That gets his attention. He sits up and we both stay quiet as possible to listen. Crunch. It's getting closer. Too scared to look outside blinds. Eventually grow some balls and peek outside the blinds. There's a guy lying on the front lawn. He's not facing us. He starts to commando crawl towards the pavement. What the fuck? MP4. Me and my friend just watch him in awe. He slowly gets up and picks up a baseball bat that we didn't even notice. When he gets into the light of the street lamp, notice he's got a tracksuit on. Same guy we saw 4 hours ago. He breaks into a sprint down the road. When he's gone, we just sit in the room for like 30 minutes in scared silence. No noises or nothing. Decide to just go back to sleep and talk about it in the morning. Next morning, 10 a.m. We decide not to tell friends' parents because they might call cops and I'll have to go home. Go down to local park after breakfast, mostly just to play football and try to determine if what happened was dodgy or we were just overreacting. We're hanging around by some tennis courts. There are some houses behind the tennis courts since the courts are at the back of the house. Accidentally kickball over fence into house behind the courts. The fence is ripped at the ground, so we just lift it up and crawl under it. As I'm crawling under it, I notice something in the bushes. It's a baseball bat. Freeze in fear. Can feel my heart racing, can't get my eyes off it. There's a small blood splatter on it. What's the matter, Anon? He can't see it because he's on the other side of the bush. Instantly back up. No fucking way I'm going in there. Friend goes in and freaks out as well. The baseball bat was in the yard of some vacant house that was waiting for someone to buy it. For sale sign is still there. All curtains are pulled as you'd expect from an abandoned house. Suddenly, the doorknob jiggles. Here we are, under a bush at the back of an abandoned house's yard, and the door is opening. We back out of the bush and hide behind the fence, ready to run like a pair of Kenyans. Boys, we've been caught. Boys, would you like your ball back? We still don't answer, and we're still hiding. Suddenly, the football comes over the fence and lands near us, followed by a door slamming shut. We grab the ball and run home as fast we can. Couple hours later, it's 3 p.m. 3 more friends have shown up, 5 of us in total. One of the guys who showed up recently says we should go to the park. Instantly remember the bat and the guy there. Inform the 3 guys about it, they want to go see. Fuck that .jpg. Since it never happened to them, they're all cocky and acting hard as if it'll be nothing. Me and my friend whose house I'm staying at decide to take them to the bat. Me and my other friend nervously walk them to the park. 3 other guys are joking around and talking about how they'll just whoop his ass and stuff. Walking down the street, I get a really bad feeling, like one of dread. Make it to the park. Walk over to fence nervously. The 3 guys are still loud and joking around, so I tell them to shut up. Look, on the other side of this bush, there's a bloody baseball bat. Bullshit. I lift the fence, and one of them crawls under and into the bush. I get into a sprinter's stance and get ready to take off. I knew you were bullshitting. There's nothing here. What? Someone else holds the fence and I crawl under the bush onto the other side. Just like he said, the bloodied baseball bat was gone. Instead, the abandoned house's front door was wide open. The front door to the back door was connected via a long hallway. We could see through the back door that the front door was also open, and there was a police car with its lights on. We walked round the side of the house to find a police officer talking on his phone, with the rest of the street watching eagerly from their porches or windows. Upon walking from the back of the house, the police officer asks us what we were doing behind the house, as he was searching it beforehand. Me and my other friend tell him about the guy in the tracksuit in the middle of the night, and the bloodied bat behind the bush. As soon as we mentioned the bat behind the bush, his whole demeanor changed. We escort him to where we found the bat and how we got into the backyard. He investigates the area and finds nothing. Finally ask him what's going on. He takes us back to his car and pulls out a bloodied tracksuit top. It's the same one as before. Cop tells us that a concerned neighbor reported seeing movement in the abandoned house and got worried, so she called the cops. Head home. Still shaken up. Laying in my shitty sleeping bag at night, when I hear crunch, crunch, crunch. Instantly shoot up out of bed. No way is he back. Check clock on wall, 1:30 a.m. Kind of just lay there listening. Every 30 seconds or so I would hear the crunch of leaves. It's getting closer. .jpg. Once again I decide to grow some balls and peek through the blinds. Forgot to wake up my friend. I slowly listen whilst approaching the blinds. No crunches. Ever so slowly, I pull them apart. He's literally looking at me and we meet face to face. Scream. My friend wakes up and the guy takes off running down the street. My friend's dad goes outside with a shovel while his mom calls the police. Police arrive. They ask a couple questions, his appearance mostly. A couple hours later, I pack up and my parents pick me up. They're informed of everything. From what I heard, they had an unmarked police car outside friend's house for a week. 6 years later, and nothing has ever come of it. Police couldn't link the guy who was peeping to the bloodied bat abandoned house guy, but I'm pretty sure it was him.
Be me. 19 years old uni living in Australia. Myself and two mates decide to go camping along the Great Dividing Range. We'll call my mates Jacko and Woody. For those who don't know the Great Dividing Range, it's just a very long mountain range that separates the coast from the inland. Apparently in the top 5 longest ranges in the world or something. Woody's uncle lends us his rifle. Yes, we can have guns. Bring the generic camping stuff, water filter, axe, matches, etc. Purchase shitty and beat down 4-wheel drive to traverse the mountainside. Plan to sleep in the car rather than bringing tents. Plan on just living off the land for a while and make memories. We have no idea at this point what we were getting ourselves into. Drive out from Brisbane to some motel town in middle of nowhere. Map out where we are going to go. Plan on making the trip last 5 days. Jacko's kind of the beta of the group. Still a good lad, but doesn't really say a whole lot. Says he would prefer to take a different route, have a bit of an argument about the logistics, eventually come to a compromise. Being a spaz, I decide to make a status, saying where we were going and how long we would be gone for. Possibly the worst mistake I've ever made in my life. First night, we drive up a road to the first level of a huge-ass mountain, set up fire, cook some hot dogs, sing some songs. At this point, I should mention I have a shitty habit of leaving my phone on silent. After about an hour of drinking and singing to 80s rock songs, decide to take a piss. Do my business behind a tree. When I return, Woody tells me my phone was buzzing. Obviously didn't hear it because of the loud music and it was on silent. First thing I see is about 14 messages, around 11 of whom were made within the last hour. All from an unknown number. Read messages. Looking at them as I type this is how they read. Call me HHHHHHGGFBHHHHHHHHH. Figure it was just someone who got the wrong number. Ask who is this? They don't respond until an hour later. It's Jacko, man. Where are you? Jacko's sleeping in the car, looking at him as I receive the message. Start to freak a little bit. You're not Jacko. Who the fuck is this? Don't get a response. Reception pretty much cuts out as soon as we get back to the car. Me and Woody decide it's time to go to bed. Constantly wake up in the middle of the night due to discomfort. Wake up again, but with extreme sense of fright, as if I heard something in my sleep that woke me up. Eyes wide open, staring at the roof for a solid 10 minutes. Eventually fall back asleep. Morning. Wake up to hearing Jacko and Woody swearing. We look out the window and all our shit was fucked up. Radio busted completely, guitar smashed in half, and all of our food scattered along the ground. Looks like a bomb went off. If you don't know, Australia doesn't have bears, wolves, or big cats. So, for our campsite to get ransacked was extremely strange and unsettling. We sit in the car trying to figure out what happened for a few minutes, eventually convince ourselves it was a dingo, even though I think we all knew a dingo couldn't do that. Decide to get out and salvage what wasn't wrecked. Pack up what we have left. Decide that the trip is ruined and we need to go home. As myself and Jacko are packing up, Woody starts flipping shit. We look over, and we see that the tires are flat. All 4 tires are flat. Sudden sense of dread and terror engulfs me. Realize that the sound of the tires going flat was what probably woke me up last night. Burst into denial mode, convincing myself that the text last night and the flat tires plus ransack couldn't be related. Realize it isn't a time to be rational. Woody grabs the gun, I grab the axe, and Jacko grabs a kitchen knife. Usain bowled out of there. As we are running, we talk about how we are going to get home. We have no food and no water. Our only hope is that the phone reception kicks in and we can call for help. After a solid 20 minutes of running, we stop by a river to have a drink. Sitting at the riverbank, wondering what the hell we are going to do. No tent, no matches, and no phone reception. I talk about how I announced where we were going to on Facebook and told them about the texts. Woody smacks me across the face. I don't fight back. I knew I deserved it. We start walking down the river, hoping to come across a road. As we pass some bush, we come across a dead emu hanging off a tree from a rope. It had been completely disemboweled. There wasn't any flesh that wasn't covered in blood. Woody is a hunting enthusiast. Tells us that it was cut open with a small knife and that the liver and heart are gone. Jacko makes the chilling observation that it didn't smell bad and there were no flies. Woody says it was probably killed within 2 to 3 hours from now. We flip out again. Bolt for another 15 minutes down the river until we reach a grass plain. Continue walking along these narrow plains between the mountains, hoping to find a road. Hours pass. We wonder whether we are actually going to die out here. Start talking about deep shit. How much we love our family. Jacko actually opens up for once, spills his emotions. We embrace each other in a hug and decide we need to set up camp. Eventually find a slope on a mountain to begin camp on. Overlooks a huge amount of grassland and the river. We felt a lot safer up there. All we have is a fire and some rocks we were going to use as seats. It's around 4:30, starting to get dark. Woody says he can probably find a possum for dinner. Jacko and I tell him that splitting up is a horrible idea. We tag along with him. After an hour, we eventually shoot a rabbit and start walking back to camp. We get back and we see our fire has been doused, not just blown out by wind. There is some liquid all over the place. It wasn't water, but we didn't want to find out what the fuck it was. We're so tired of running at this point, until Jacko beckons us over. He points down to some grassland near a neighboring mountain. It's a car. The headlights are on high. The car keeps accelerating and parking as if it's looking for something. We realize it's our fucking van. It's stopping and starting because it's looking for us. Woody grabs his gun and says he is going to deal with the fucker. We spill some sense into him. Remind him of what we are dealing with. This guy is unpredictable and dangerous. Car eventually turns off, parked in the middle of an open field. We are just staring, waiting for something to happen. Super dark. Eventually we start to see a figure in the distance. Everyone says holy shit at the same time. It's running straight up the hill towards us, literally bolting as fast as I've ever seen something run before. We can barely make out anything. The only thing I remember about it was the head. The head man, it looked like a pig's head. We bolt without hesitation. Hear some fucked up screaming as we are running. It doesn't stop. Woody is shooting as we run. Eventually, after about 4 shots, the screaming stops. We run for so long. Eventually, reception on my phone kicks back in. Instantly get Google Maps up. Find the nearest town is only 1 or so kilometers away. End up at the town. Sit down on the park bench. We don't even talk about what just happened. Woody calls his girlfriend so she can come and pick us up. Check my messages. One more message from the unknown number, sent at 2:32 a.m. Don't worry, Anon. I will find you.
New summer job, long commute on a bicycle, see some parts of the city for the first time. Find a good route, use the same one every morning. Carpool home in the afternoon. The morning bike route goes through an elderly community. Middle class, safe, big lawns. See grannies and grandpas every morning. This was before boomer hate, so always wish them a good morning. See an old woman pulling weeds every time. She's very frail with sunken eyes. A little creepy looking, to be honest, but try not to judge. Must be part of her morning routine to do it right when I pass. Start calling out to her specifically. She always just looks silently, so I smile and wave at her. Check up on her every morning. Sometimes she has a friend or two pulling weeds with her, who somehow look just as creepy as her. As the summer goes by, see an increase in the weeders, all the way up to a dozen. This goes on for weeks. One day there's a heat wave. It's 95 degrees out. The summer job is outside work, so it's canceled. Giving teenagers heat stroke isn't worth it. Go biking in the afternoon. Cycle the morning commute on muscle memory. The weed pullers are at the same places every morning. It's almost 8 hours from the usual time and 95 degrees out. They are incredibly dehydrated. Eyes look like clay, skin like a lizard's. They look worse than Draugr from Skyrim. Try to talk to them. No answer from most. Some just ramble. Some of the grannies are taking naps. Realize that things are not good. Call 911. They arrive. All needed to be hospitalized. Later, hear the story. They were demented care home escapees. They walked for miles to get to that neighborhood. One of them used to live there. It's her old yard. See a picture of the woman. It's the original weed puller, just 50 pounds heavier. She wasn't even old, in her 60s. She had been missing for over a week. She couldn't talk because she was dehydrated and starving to death while obsessively pulling weeds. And I just smiled and waved every time.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.